Chances are that most of you have heard that prosthetics are basically just fake body parts that get put on a person who lost their original body part. But I were to bet a pretty penny that if I asked you how they're made, implanted, or used, you'd be drawing blanks of utter. So there are a total of 6 types of prosthesis, which are upper extremity, lower extremity prosthesis, craniofacial, somato, and penile prosthesis. Now let's go over each of them. We'll start with upper extremity prosthesis. Upper extremity prosthesis has to do with the arm and is categorized based on the part you lost. For example, if it's the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, it is known as disarticulation. If it's the upper arm, it is known as transhumeral prosthesis. If it's the forearm, it is transradial prosthesis. And the hand is categorized based on how much of it is lost. And then lower extremity is very similar to upper extremity prosthesis but applies to the legs. Craniofacial prosthesis has to do with the face and skull and is divided into intraoral and extraoral prosthesis. Somatoprosthesis has to do with the torso, and the penile prosthesis has to do with, well, let's just say the special plate. So now we know the different types of prosthetics. Let's move on to how they, move. There are 3 types of prosthetic devices: passive devices, body-powered devices, and myoelectric devices. Passive devices are simple devices that are usually just used for show. They can either be fixed or adjustable. Body-powered devices work by attaching a harness to the nearest major joint. Myoelectric devices work by sensing when muscles in the rest of the limbs move, using electrodes, similar to neurons. Next, we'll look at how they're made. So first, the stump where the original limb used to be is measured, and then the whole body is measured so they know how big the stump should be. Then they create a silicone liner that is put over the stump to make the prosthetic more comfortable. After that, the socket for the limb is formed. Finally, the limb is assembled using plastic, which is created by either vacuum forming or injection molding, and metal, which is made by die casting. Alright, now we have the most vital aspect of prosthetics: how they are implanted. There are 2 types of implantation: the stump and socket method, which we just mentioned, and osseointegration, which is directly connecting the limb to the body. Osseointegration is done by attaching a titanium bolt to the end of the stump bone. Then an extension is attached to it, and finally the limb is attached to that extension and is removable. This allows for some benefits, such as better control and being long-lasting. However, the one downside is that it cannot take large amounts of physical impact. But before we start getting Terminator vibes, let me just mention that the average prosthetic limbs cost $15,000 to $90,000. So unless you're Bill Gates, you got some saving to do.